Hello again, viewers, and greetings, fellow space travelers. This is Thorn of Night, and welcome to episode 37 of my bee breeding guide. In this episode, we are going to take a trip over here past the Infernal Branch to, if I can remember exactly where it is, the Shadow Branch. Now, these guys are kind of weird. This branch adds 3 new bees to the mix. They are the Shadowed, Darkened, and Abysmal. And unlike most, if not all of the other bees, these only work at night. They don't work during the day at all. So if you have some, don't sleep out the day because they'll stop functioning. Or don't sleep out the night, because they won't be continuing to work during the daytime, and you can't really trick them, I don't think. Maybe with the alveoli lighting block, you might be able to trick them into think it's nighttime, but I think that only makes it so the non-nocturnal ones can work at night. I haven't tested that on the alveoli. I should have. I apologize. But these bees are added by extra bees, and like I said, they only work at night. The conditions that they work in are desert or hell conditions, and they do need netherwort as their flowers. The shadowed and darkened bees have an effect called darkness, and basically when you are within their territory, it's like getting splashed with a blindness potion. And the abysmal bee has the effect called wither. It's not the same effect as the withering effect that is available on another bee. It is called wither, and for a while it didn't work, but I think now it actually functions properly because I got the wither effect on when I went to mess with them while I was breeding them. So that should be working now as far as I can tell. But you get the whole your health bar has the darkened hearts, and you can't tell how much health you have and all that kind of stuff. Now, at least the darkened bee and probably the other 2, but I couldn't verify for the other 2. But for sure, the darkened bee, even if it's nighttime, if you have a light source too close, it won't work then either. It has to be relatively dark for these bees to do their job. Now, there is a nice benefit to breeding these bees, and it is their comb. They give out this stuff called shadow comb, and you'll get the honey drops from it, but instead of beeswax, you get pulverized obsidian. Now, this stuff can be used for making hardened glass, which is used for a few things. The reinforced rail, which is useful for making the different kinds of rails that are added, at least in this mod pack. And it can be converted to obsidian dust to be used for things that obsidian are used for. So, it is a good source of renewable obsidian because there is a limited amount of lava available, and having the renewable obsidian is nice. Yes, I know you can fabricate lava from converting like some other energy source in a actually there are several blocks that can just outright create lava, but this skips the whole process and lets you just go straight to making the pulverized obsidian, so that's kind of nice. But let's go take a look at the actual bees themselves. And I should note that the map for this guide that I've made here is available for download. I will have a link for that in the description below, so you can get that if you wish. The mod pack I'm using is the Unleashed mod pack for Feed the Beast, so you will need Feed the Beast for the map to work, because I've incorporated several other mods that you may or may not have if you're just working with bees. So go ahead and grab Feed the Beast if you haven't already. You will thoroughly enjoy it. But back to this. First off is the Shadowed Bee, and the Shadowed Bee requires two different bees. The Infernal Branch's Sinister Bee, which I apparently didn't leave you a book for that. That will be in the second download. I will make sure that there is a book to the Infernal Branch, as well as the Rocky Branch for the Tolerant Bee. But in the meantime, if I don't have the upload for the secondary map yet, by the time you watch this, you can just go ahead and grab my Infernal video or my Rocky video that I made for those two branches. Now, you can, through that main hub, go find the Infernal Branch and go find the Rocky Branch and hop to it that way. But I do apologize for not having these books. I should have done that. I am very sorry. But when you download this map, I have some stock in here for you to work with. The Sinister Bee does require Netherwort, and the Rocky Bee does require rocks. So these are the two flowers you're going to need to get the Shadowed Bee going. I am here in a hell biome, so there is no bed. If it's nighttime, don't use a bed. And if it's nighttime, don't sleep, because these bees like it dark. But anyway, let's take a look at what I got from this. I got a Shadowed Drone, but I need to look at the Princess to see how long it took, just to get an idea. That's pretty quick, 2 generations, not bad. But let's compare this guy to a purebred. Not quite even close. I'm doing that mostly just for my curiosity, but if you wish to examine them further, I will leave them here in the chest for you to look at for the second version of the download, so you can take a look at the stats and why they are the way they are for taking traits from the parent bees. But let's take a look at what you can expect to get out of purebreds for just a normal life cycle. The Shadowed Bee here, you will be able to get a couple of drones out of that and a chance at some of that comb, but it's not a high chance. You saw 2 out of 5. So that means, I guess, maybe if you're lucky, about half of the time you can get a comb out of one life cycle of the queen. But a stack of that shadowed comb will give you about half a stack of the honey traps and about 3/4 of a stack of the pulverized obsidian when you run it through a centrifuge. Next up is the Darkened Bee. It will require a Shadowed Bee that you got from making that there, and it's also going to require a hive bee called the Embittered, and these guys come from the Nether, so you'll have to find their little nests. I believe, let's see here, hive. Yes, they come from these hives here, and I will just go ahead and put that right there, so you can have that as a visual cue. It looks sort of similar. Let me bring up some netherrack. There we go. It looks, like I said, sort of similar to netherrack. So if, for instance, you have it on Moody, and it is in the darkness of the nether. This world is a bright world, so it's harder to spot. But from a distance, you are going to have a hard time unless you're really looking for it to find one of these hives. But they are there, so don't give up. Let me go ahead and put this back where it belongs. And I will put this away. But once you get some of the shadowed bees and some embittered bees, and I have some stock here for you to tinker with, you'll get eventually one of these darkened bees, and it's the princess this time. So let's see how long that took me. Just 1 generation, not too bad. Now let's go ahead and compare it. Oh wow, it is almost a purebred. Very, very close. Instead of dominant traits, it's got the recessive traits because they're blue there. But other than that, it's pretty much a purebred bee. Pretty close. Nice. Alright. Now, the output that you're going to expect from a purebred line of the Darkened Bees. Once again, you've got 2 drones that you can expect to get, and roughly the same rate of production of the comb, 2 out of 5 here. So I guess maybe overall it's a little bit less. Actually, let's see here. Slower worker, normal life. Slower worker. All right. So yeah, you could probably get an average of about 50%. I guess I'm getting a low average right now for some reason. But once again, here's your standard output that you can expect from a stack of that comb there. And finally, let's move on to the last bee in the series, the Abysmal bee. It's going to require both of the bees that you've done so far, the Darkened and the Shadowed. And once again, I have some stock for you to tinker with. And I got an Abysmal drone this time, so let's grab this princess, and I also got some comb there. But let's grab the princess and see how long it took. It's not necessarily going to take you just one generation. It might take you more. Who knows? It really is a probability, so it's not a spot-on thing. And this is also fairly close to a purebred. This is a pretty lucky run I had. But I will also, like the other ones, leave these bees here for you to take a closer look at if you wish. But for now, let's look at the typical output you can expect. Once again, 2 drones, and I believe the same ratio of comb. Looks like it's just more than half this time, but I think they are all 3 the same ratio for that. And once again, some typical output you can expect from a stack of that comb. And I didn't leave a book for getting back to the hub at all. So I apologize for anyone who's gotten to here and gotten lost. If you find an error like this in one of my little bee branches, you can always get back to the main hub by going to one of these other little buildings and going through the books that I have in them. I left a book out there, apparently, so there's a few little details that I seem to have forgotten, but that's part of the reason why I am doing this series, is so I can get the finalized map as good as I can. Just so you know, also, if you wish to explore, there's really not much to explore, but if you wish to, if you get lost, come back to 00 on these Mistcraft ages, and you will find the book and be near all of the buildings. But let's go back in the Shadow Branch and just make sure I covered everything here. The bees in this do not go on to get used in any other branches for creating new bees. You can obviously crossbreed them to get their traits, though. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this information has helped you and answered any questions you may have. But if you do have any questions or comments or suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I will do my best to respond as quickly and thoroughly and promptly as possible. If you like this video and like what I'm doing here, please feel free to give me a like. I do appreciate that. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe so you know when my next stuff comes out. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here and take care of filling in these books for you. So thank you once again for watching. This is Thorn of Night, and I will talk to you later.